Hey guys, Funkymusic here once again. So I'm gonna make I kind of feel like there's videos I need to make responses to because they get a lot of talk and a lot of misconceptions on a lot of things. First of all, I want to say that I'm not making these videos to be an elitist jerk. I'm not pointing out certain people. I pulled the one guy out of a hat just to show an example, and he actually commented on the video. So hopefully he just seen my response just a couple hours ago. But I responded to him. So I just want to sit here and say that this is not to be an elitist jerk. We're talking about best in slot. Heroic best in slot. Now, we can sit there and argue, and I've made on my comments, if you guys are following that last video I did about Warmane druids, there are other gear specs you can swap to, but it's not really... there's only a few bosses you're going to do it on. And I mentioned this in the Tier 9 video that I made a while ago. You know, bosses like the Deathbringer Saurfang, Vlithria Dreamwalker, Lich King. There's certain fights where you can swap out. Lich King's maybe the only fight where you're going to glyph change, but pretty much the spec will stay the same. So I want to make sure if that wasn't... I didn't think I had to cover that, but if people are bringing up that point, or one person brought up that point, rather, so I just want to make sure that people understand that. I got the video pulled up, some of the comments here, back here, you guys can see. 24 crit enchant for the engineering enchant, Nitros boots. I understand that. That's not best in slot for resto druid, okay? Unless you're bear tanking, it's not best in slot. And even then, it's still not best in slot really for bear unless you're doing Lich King, heroic Lich King. And if you have Lich King on farm, you shouldn't need the Nitros boots. You should be well aware of where you need to go. Usually, it's only progressive guilds that need the Nitros boots to help them get past the defile, just to make it easier. But once you've been doing it for a long time, like many of these guilds have, yeah. There's the actual comment from him. But one of the things that I get a lot of, I get this reply here from this Tenashus07. He says he's giving me, well, he knows the name of the person or whatever. He says, you picked a horrible example of a resto druid. He's a common main and run boomy. He has never been restoed in any raid ever. If you want to compare resto druids, have a look at Giovanna, Velsaya, or Jetty. Okay, so I went and looked those guys up. Jetty is in feral spec, by the way. Giovanna I looked up was a level 55 DK, the way he had me spelt the first time, and an 80 paladin on Lordaeron. So finally he gave me the correct spelling. Now, the problem with this spec is, and the problem with this guy is, let's go through. I mean, you look at the gear. The gear looks pretty good. Main hand I'm not gonna get too crazy on, because main hand, I understand people don't have a lot of money to donate for the Valinor or time to farm it. A lot of people don't do that. So main hand aside, he's best in slot. Now, but if we start going through some of the stuff he's got, okay, he's got Lightweave embroidery, which meh, whatever. We get to the chest, and there's 12 spell power and 10 spirit. That is not best in slot, guys. Hitting the socket bonus is not best in slot. People still do it all the time, and I don't understand why. Putting a 23 spell power gem in there is going to be more powerful. That's 11 spell power. 10 spirit only converts to 15%, so it's so you're getting 1.5 spirit or 1.5 spell power out of that 10 spirit gem. So you're getting 13.5 spell power, essentially. So people are like, well, Funky, spirit converts into spell power. Yes, I know, but it's only 15% because of the Tree of Life, blah, blah, blah. It only converts so much, okay? You're not getting the same amount of spell power you would get out of... So even with the socket bonus, oh, Funky, hit the socket bonus. It's still not enough. You're still behind spell power, okay? You still are. It's 21 spell power with the socket bonus. And the spirit gives you 22 or what? Yeah, 22 and a half. You're still behind a half a spell power. It's still behind you. That 10 spirit is not going to make... If people are like, well, Funky, I need spirit for mana regen. No, you don't. I'm talking min-maxing here. I'm talking about end-level rating. I'm talking about stuff like this. That right there, no. You're not going to need that, okay? There's no reason to get socket bonuses whatsoever. At least this guy is haste capped. He is running the correct spec. And I believe he has the correct, yes, the correct glyph. So the guy making the response who wanted me to look this person up, this person's close, gems still off. I mean, it's simple stuff like that could be fixed. Now, the guy who I made the video about last time, he did respond saying that it's his third spec, which I don't know how that's possible, but because you only get 2 specs, but whatever. And that he uses that neck for Boomkin, I believe he said. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure he said he uses it for Boomkin, which doesn't make a lick of sense because Boomkins don't use that gem whatsoever, so it makes no sense whatsoever. Nor is that Boomkin best in slot neck. Boomkin best in slot neck is from BQL, Blue Queen Choker, of course, and you're not going to put a Spell Power Spirit Gem in your fucking neck. So that's wrong. And this isn't, again, this is not me being an elitist jerk. We're talking best in slot. I want to educate the resto druids on the server because apparently my guide and everything and everyone that I've talked to, and I'm always open for discussion and open to talk to people about it. You'll see that I respond to pretty much everyone in the video that tries to come and give their point of view and it's just wrong. I will correct them and get them on the right path. Now, if people want us to do, oh, guy with 700 some subs or whatever, fuck cares about subs? You think I care about subs? Go eat a dick. Fucking, and the guy who's talking about it's got like 25 subs, so that makes no fucking sense. Your argument gets thrown out the window. I don't care about subs, never have. So then he wanted me to look up Velsaya. The problem with Velsaya is that I know Velsaya. That's Ryan. Okay? I know because I used to raid with Velsaya for years and years and years and years and years, and I still know it was Ryan's tune. Now, I haven't seen Ryan on in about, I don't know, 5-6 months, maybe. I don't know, maybe a year, really. And because he's on my friends list. He's always on my friends list. He was here after the meltdown. It was still Ryan playing. So yeah, so I messaged Velsaya a couple days ago, and I was like, hey, Ryan, what's going on, man? I'm like, no, this isn't Ryan. I'm like, okay, he must have sold his account or given it to somebody. And so yeah, and the question was, or the guy here was like, why don't you look up Velsaya when I say Velsaya was sold? Because it used to be Ryan's account, and Velsaya isn't that best in slot. Velsaya hasn't been sold. It's Liz playing on it, who's a damn good resto. Okay, you are not a damn good resto. Maybe we can argue who's the best resto druid all day long. Everyone knows it's me. Sorry, I'm not being, again, I'm not trying to be elitist, but like nobody's been able to do the shit I can do. Like I have nothing more to prove to people. Stack me up against any resto druid on this server, which I get this bullshit all the time, even to this day. Funky, go to head with me. Let's go heal. I take it as a competitive thing, but I also go into it with the knowledge that, hey, you know, this isn't to brag or boast, but if you want to go heal against me, you're going to lose. It's not even a competition. So, anyways, this used to be Ryan's account. I know it was Ryan's account. But anyways, there's no chest on this character. No chest. Okay. Running the wrong setup. These bracers are correct. The boots are wrong. The Spirit Enchant is wrong. Other than that, it is of course best in slot, but the boots are the wrong boots. If you're using the bracers of Fiery Knight, you need to be using the boots off of Gunship. Those will be best in slot with these bracers. Now, if it was if he was using the Philithra Dreamwalker bracers, then yes, the Plague Scientist boots are going to be the closest thing to that. And I just want to talk about this real quick too. I got it pulled up here. The Plague Scientist boots plus the VDW bracers. People don't understand. Well, hang on. Actually, let me pull this up. And I pulled up multiple people here. But if I just want to look at, let's go to my character here. I believe I'm still in Resto spec. I might be in Feral. No, I am in Resto. Now here is. I'll put me at the end here. Here is the setup, right? Braces of the Fire Knight and the Boots of Unnatural's Growth. The difference between these two setups, if you were to use the VDW bracers and the Plague Scientist boots versus the RS bracers and the Gunship boots, is about, if I remember correctly, it's not even like, I think it's like 9 spell power and like 6 haste is the only difference between the two. I think just a few more spirit as well, which you can convert that, so maybe it's like 11 spell power, I believe. But we are talking best in slot here. Now, the reason why I will run the other spec, or not the other spec, but the other setup I'll run the VDW or the VDW bracers and the Plague Scientist boots on my other druid, just to compare and run it. And because I do stream, there's a little bit more lag, so I always like an extra bit of haste. But I don't know if there's something wrong, but I seem to go a lot faster when I run the VDW bracers and the Plague Scientist boots. And we have more healers in the raid. We just did the raid. I looked at the logs. I'm like, man, I was going a lot. Like, granted, I was doing a dick ton of healing, but it just seems like for whatever reason I go faster. I don't know why. But what the difference is, I could tell the haste difference. It's a Funky, you can't tell the difference between 6 haste. I've been playing Resto Druid for like 8 years. I can tell the difference, the slightest difference in the haste. Now, that doesn't mean my rejuves are coming off faster. It means that I can cast a few things just slightly faster. I mean, I'm talking fractions of seconds here. But I do know that I go faster when I'm running the higher haste. Just, I'm what, 6-7 over haste cap, I believe, in the VDW bracer setup. But, yeah, so for me to look at Velsaya, and then telling me to look at Velsaya and that they're actually a good healer. Now, you're stacking that up against your healers. Okay, here in a comma. And this is not to call a comma out, and they're not their guild or whatever. If they're doing Light of Dawn, more power to them. Let them do Light of Dawn, blah, blah, blah. This is talking about best in slot only. Okay, so here we go. Let's look at the talents for Restoration. And these talents are not best in slot. Okay, I've said this 101,000 times. Nature's Grace is garbage. It is garbage for Resto Druids. If you are haste capped, it does nothing. Only thing it's going to do is cut your regrowth down from a 1.2 second cast to a 1.1 second cast. You're shaving off 0.1 seconds for 3 talent points on 1 heal. Because if you are haste capped, if you are a Resto Druid, which you need to be haste capped, it's the only cap we have to hit, is the haste cap of 856, or if you're running the other spec of 18053, it's 735. Obviously, he's trying to run the higher haste cap spec because he has the higher haste cap spec gear. I know Ryan had it all. He was exactly a clone copy of my tune. Me and Ryan used to raid together. We healed together, and he's the only person on the server that I know that actually had his tune set up exactly like mine. But like I said, then he quit, and then he never raided really again. He would just log on and bullshit. But here's the problem with Nature's Grace. You're spending those 3 talent points for nothing. Nature's Grace does nothing for a Resto Druid. It looks like a really good talent. It really does. It looks like something you would use. But if your bread and butter is Rejuvenation, Wild Growth, and Swift Mend, those are your 3 most used spells that you're going to be using constantly when they're off cooldown. Okay? The global cooldown and normal cooldown, like for Swift Mend, and Wild Growth when it's on its 6-second cooldown. So, Nature's Grace, it's only good in situational things. And even then, like I said, it's only shaving off 0.1 seconds on regrowth. Well, Funky, it shaves off time on healing touch as well. If you're using healing touch as a Resto Druid, you've got bigger problems. Okay? Nobody should be using that at all. It is a horrible heal. It takes forever to cast. No, it's bad. You shouldn't be touching it. So no point in Nature's Grace to shave off 0.1 seconds. The reason why is Nature's Bounty. They're taking points out of Nature's Bounty now. That's where they decided, this Velsaya decided to take points out of. Increases the critical effect chance of your regrowth and nourish spells by 15% at 3 of 5. Okay? Now let's go ahead and look at mine. Increases by 25%. So you're losing 25%, or you're losing 10% crit on regrowth and nourish for what exactly? To shave off 0.1 seconds? You're going to give up... That makes absolutely no sense. So you're going to gimp your regrowth so you can cast it 0.1 seconds faster? That's stupid. And like I said, Nature's Grace is on a proc. So when it procs, does it only become useful? And even then, you may not need to use it. You may not have any reason to cast that to get to even use the benefit of it. Now, there will be times where it procs and you may use it for the benefit, but no, it's ridiculous to think that people just don't know what the hell they're doing. And then they are taking points out of also Nature's or Living Seed here. Now, why are they taking points out of Living Seed? Another helpful spell. You're talking when you critically hit, you're placing the Living Seed on the target. 1 of 3. No. Living Seed works 100% fine. Living Seed does a lot of healing. It does a lot of healing. And here's the other problem with this spec. Sub reduces the threat generated by your restoration spells by 30%. Well, Funky, you have sub in your spec. Yes, I do. But it's only because I can only put so many points in. I need to put points into the tree so I can open up talents. You know how it goes when you start putting talent points in, other things start opening up. You have to have so many talent points to unlock the next tier of abilities. So you have to put 2 points into sub. But you don't need to put 3 points in there. You're never going to pull you're never going to pull threat as a healer. If you do, your tanks or your DPS or your hunters and your rogues are terrible, and they should all be G-kicked. That is the dumbest point to put talents into. Shamans, I see that all the time in shaman specs too. That makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. So to tell me, and then you have Glyph of Rapid Rejuvenation, which I'm going to do another video on here in a minute about why Rapid Rejuve is bad in 25-man anything. Anything 25-man Rapid Rejuve is terrible. It really shines in 10-man. The only time you would, again, let me clarify though, and the only time you would use it is on Heroic Lich King. Other than that, you should stay away from Rapid Rejuvenation. It's going to gimp your healing. Again, it looks like a really cool spell. It looks like something you could really get into using. You're like, oh man, yeah, that's really great to have. But it actually gimps your healing. And I'll get into that in a later video. So moving along. We've got Shizzle here from Dignity that I pulled up today as well. I think he's also running the 14.057 spec. I believe Shizzle might have changed his spec because he was pulled up. I think I had him in resto spec, but his gear was wrong. Also, again, using the wrong talents. Here's another one from Dignity. Right, looks good. And I forget what was wrong with this one. Again, boots. Wrong. You got the right boots, but the wrong bracers. Because right now, your haste cap in this spec, in the 11.060 spec, should be 26.11. He's under haste cap, 25.56, right here. So he's actually gimping his healing. This is to show you every resto druid, like, just an example. Show me one resto druid who is actually at haste cap, is in a heroic raiding guild, and actually has the right setup. Like, there is no excuse for this. Well, Funky, he hasn't gotten his RS gear yet. Fine. But you should still be haste cap. That's a gem spec. I mean, that's a gem swap. There's no need for that. Also, shoulders. I understand his inscription, but MP5 is terrible. It scales terribly with druids. No reason for that. Druids do not really need... There's certain professions you should be choosing. That's not one of them. MP5 does nothing for you. It does absolutely nothing for you. It's a bad idea. So this is just an overall view. I'm not trying to pick one person out here. Like I said, this is not an attack on Akama themselves. But the people who are defending this and trying to make me no, you're talking to the wrong person. I'm sorry. Like, again, I do not mean to be an elitist, but you're all wrong. You have no math to back anything up. You guys don't understand how theory crafting apparently works. And you don't understand the point of best in slot. Yeah, who the hell... I had an argument with some guy on there that best in slot doesn't exist. Are you kidding me? Like, you guys must... Like, I don't even know how to respond to that because it's just ludicrous lunacy. Every resto druid is like this. And I don't understand why I have yet to see a resto druid who is properly spec'd, gemmed, and enchanted. I have had that guide up for years, and I have kept that guide updated, although I can no longer do so, but it should still be quite updated. I think it's actually still current, if I'm not mistaken. It should stay current as long as everything stays fine and nothing game-changing break happens. After 5 years of playing here, and that guide's been up for quite some time now, I believe it's been 4 or 5 years since I put that guide up there, that people still manage to screw up resto druids. I mean, and people want to sit there and say that, well, they're a better healer than you, Funky, or they're a great healer. They are not going to be as good as me because they're not even best in slot. Now, we can argue the boot enchant stuff as well. Well, Funky 18 Spirit, more spell power. No. Here's a perfect example of that. When you're a resto druid and you're getting pulled in for the grip on Syndragosa, while we can use Kitty Dash to get out of it, you shouldn't have to, because unless you're having a toaster net or you're streaming and you're really pulling a lot of FPS, or you're having FPS issues because, again, your toaster net or you're streaming, you should never have to go Kitty Dash or go Cheetah. So you still want to get out on time. You still want to be able to move faster. Moving fast in every single encounter. And I know druids are the most mobile healers in the game. I understand that. I know that better than anyone else. But the ability to move even faster from point A to point B can save you. I mean, that saves you on Lich King. And people are like, well, Funky, you Nitros boots. No, you don't need Nitros boots. Wait, why would you do that? Like, there's better things out there than Nitros boots. Like, you can get better stats. While we do want to aim for spell power, you also want to be mobile. I understand the argument from Nitros boots, and I understand, like, here's the... People that want, okay, Nitros boosts speed, but, you know, I'm giving up, you know, a whole bunch of spell power. I'm giving up a lot of spell power by going engineering versus, oh, I'm not going to run that. I'm going to run the spirit enchant, but I'm going to be less mobile. No, the middle ground is Tuskers and having the right professions with Tuskers on. That's the best way, because you're on one extreme or the other. The best thing for you to do is to have good professions that give you spell power, max you out in spell power as much as you can possibly go, which jewel crafting and enchanting are the best two, or I believe there's other ones too. I think what you could also say blacksmithing in there as well, but no, there's no. It's just insanity when people want to sit here and argue these points with me. And again, this is not to be elitist. I can't stress that enough, because people think, oh, he's being an asshole and blah, blah, blah. While I am an asshole, take what I say and use it. Don't be fighting and arguing with me, because you're going to lose that argument. And we could sit here and debate who's the best resto druid ever on Warmane and blah, 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 blah. It's me. Again, don't mean to be arrogant. Show me somebody else who's actually crunched the numbers, who's actually theory crafted this stuff, who has been doing this for years and obviously been at the top of everything. I mean, Jesus Christ. I was posting number 1, number 2, number 3 in the world on World of Logs in retail for a fucking reason. I was the one who came up with most of the theory crafting on elitist jerks for resto druids back in 3.3.5a. Like, not tooting my horn here. I'm telling you, I've crunched these numbers since this crap came out. Know what I'm talking about. And I understand 99.9% of the server has no freaking idea how to theory craft. And most of the guides out there are freaking full of retarded things that make absolutely no sense. I am well aware of that. But this is one instance where that case does not apply. Okay, guys? You have to understand that if you're in a heroic... this is not... And I also want to stress, this is not because if you're leveling, oh, Funky, I'm leveling, I'm still working on getting gear. Fine. Oh, Funky, I just want to play my way and have fun. Fine. If you're in a top tier guild on Warmane with Light of Dawn RS on farm, not progressing, but on farm, you've been in that guild for a while, or in the case of Ilsaya, that character was either traded or bought, I don't know what, or given over to somebody else, and Ryan's had best in slot for forever. There's no excuse for that. None whatsoever. You cannot argue it. It is what it is. I'm more than happy to just take time and talk with people and let them know why this is that, why this, why everything is what it is. A lot of people get confused on the GCD. What's the GCD, Funky, on rejuvenation? Why is that a thing? Why do I need to have haste? Like, I am more than happy to explain all those things to people who come and ask me that. But arguing about some of this stuff when you guys have, obviously, this is not everyone, just a few bad apples have no idea what in the world they are talking about, or want to make an argument that they have no proof, no ground to stand on, sorry, go find something to do with yourself, man. Seriously. But all in all, guys, I hope this helps explain a lot of the few comments that I had from the last video from people who had no idea what they're talking about. Hopefully they watch this video and understand that. Now time to work on my other video.